help me welcome Comrade Ini Ememobong. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Before then, status quo was that to be prominent in his location, you needed to have an aristocratic background. And he didn't control that. He didn't control who would give birth to him, just like we don't. We didn't choose our parents. But now our parents can choose us. Isn't it so? Things are changing so fast that in Cicero's time, neither parent nor child could have chosen each other. But now, in your time, parents can choose children. Is it not so? You're still wondering how? Yeah, you now do. Okay, so you now do selection. So in artificial insemination, that is choice. Is it not so? You can actually micro-select. I want a male, I want this. So more certainty is coming into a process that was previously uncertain. So, but he didn't allow circumstances he couldn't control to affect him. But that's what is happening to us today. Today, we allow circumstances we can't control to define us to the point where we submit to those circumstances and we are now defined by those circumstances. So, if you don't take anything back, just know that like Cicero could change his destiny, you can change yours. I mean, being born without blue blood at that point meant that you would live a life of second-class citizen. You were meant to be subservient to the blue-blooded people. Isn't it so? But this gentleman changed all of that. And today we can be sitting here to learn about him. So when I received the letter asking me to, how many minutes do I have? Okay. So when I received the letter asking me to talk on this topic that I find very impressive, become impossible to ignore, the art of persuasive speaking, the Cicero way. Very convoluted topic. This topic alone can be broken into 3 very large topics that each of them can be a PhD thesis. So become impossible to ignore. That is a whole concept on its own. And that takes me to the concept of identity markers. No human being is without an identity. An identity is so important that even when a baby is born and it doesn't have a name, the nurses must still find a way to identify the baby. They write baby and add the name of the mother. Isn't it so? That's how all of you came. Because they are sure of the mother, they are not sure of the father. so the baby first bears the mother's name. So when you find matrilineal societies, don't blame them so much, because in truth, only the mother is certain. The father is now an issue of analysis, So identity markers. So a child is born and immediately you need to give it an identity. It must have an identity. And have you noticed that there is absolutely nothing, as many as the plants of the earth are, the fishes in water, each of them have a name. True or false? So when you talk about becoming impossible to ignore, it takes me back to the concept of identity. Because except immediately you are nameless, you cannot be spotted. So the impossibility to ignore starts from the concept of identity. The concept of who am I in the first instance. Because not to be ignored, you must have an identity that is recognizable. Isn't it so? So, now you now go to the art of persuasive speaking, meaning that there are other forms of speaking. There is confrontational speaking. There is argumentative speaking. There is rancorous speaking. There is forceful speaking. There is command. But this one speaks to persuasive speaking. And you now go the Cicero way. But what is more important is the fact that he was not from a noble home. So he was seen as a novus homo, a new man. Meaning that if you were from a noble home, you were already a man. You didn't need to be new. You were established. I need you to take your mind back, because these things may look like they have changed. In truth, they've not changed. True or false? Okay, so let me just draw you examples. There are many first sons of many people. But the first son of the president becomes a person immediately, because he's what? The first son. He becomes the son of the president. So he becomes, by reason of circumstances other than his making, a factor in a society. That happened then. So if you were blue-blooded, if you were from a noble home, you were someone. But if you were not, and you were trying to become someone of note, you became what? A new man. Meaning you were trying to create what was not existing. So today, as we live here, and that man includes woman, The question that should stay on our mind should be, am I a new man? Am I trying to force myself that Nigeria must know me? Am I trying to force myself that my school must recognize me? Am I trying to force myself that my community must recognize me? Because they didn't recognize my father. They didn't recognize my grandfather. But I'm trying to create a new identity, a new man like Cicero did, that they must compulsorily now come to know that this person exists. The concept of the new man, I'm sure it's a concept that if you think deeply about it, it will become a challenge for you. You get into a space, all of you matriculate into first year, everyone is normal, right? Nobody really has advantage. But by the time you get through to year 2, some people are beginning to stand out. Isn't it so? But all of you came in the same. The son of the vice chancellor is not in your class. The daughter of the vice chancellor is not in your class. So the daughter of the president is not in your class. So it's not as if there is something extraordinary they have done. There's something extraordinary that confers advantage on them. But simply because when you got in there, you decided to play first. They decided to either do sports, do something, and they became new. By year 2, they have started noting people. Sitting here, if you recall in your secondary school, immediately you think about your class, there are people who come to your mind, true or false? True. There are others that people will be struggling. This person was in the, I can't remember. They bring a picture. Oh, this person, they were very colorless. We know in the sea, we know even. True or false? The concept of new man. In every society, people are becoming new people. They are becoming known. They are becoming outstanding. They are becoming relevant. So the question is, are you that new man? Let me not take you too far. But he studied law, rhetoric, and Greek philosophy. You're going to see how this plays a role. The extent of the knowledge you have will depend, because you can't give what you don't have. That's what we say in law. You can't give what you don't have. And I'd like you to think of knowledge as a car that runs on fuel. The car is there, which is your body. But if you run out of fuel, that car is still capable of moving, but it cannot move. True or false? Does it mean the car is bad? But it can move until you refuel it. So I want you to think of knowledge as fuel. And I want you to think of it because as you progress, you're depleting it. If you don't restore it, if you don't put some more back, if you don't re-energize it, you're going to run out of it. And that is why some people get out, you begin to listen to them, they sound very fine. After 2 years, they sound like broken record because you've heard everything they've had to say and they are not learning new things again, so they are not applying. So you're like, I've listened to this. In fact, you can tell someone, oh, he's a guest speaker, don't worry, these are the things he's going to say. And the person, you don't go for the events. The person you spoke to now goes for the events, and I'm like, you be like, you don't enter with you. Exactly what he said, because the person has not refueled. So what you study, and to the extent of what you know, will determine the extent of what you can give. And remember, we're talking about public speaking. So his education was broad and deep, giving him intellectual advantages over many rivals. So which is why we say no knowledge is lost. So if you read wide, if you learn wide, even if you're an art student, if you learn, for example, the Newton's law of motion, it sounds like a science thing, but you can use it to explain your humanities. That a body previously will remain at rest until a force acts upon it. And that body that was previously at rest, when it begins a motion, that the speed of the body is equivalent to the force that acts upon it. And that every action deserves equal and opposite. You need to read wide. Whether you're a lawyer, you can find a concept in medical sciences that you can use to win a case. Are we together? Whether you are a scientist, if you begin to learn the basic principles of law, you may find them very useful in what you're doing. Because when you're going to be speaking to people, because you need to have the art of persuasive speaking, then the things you're going to say will be rich enough to keep people, to keep their attention, and to persuade them. You cannot persuade someone except you have come to the point where you understand why that person is listening to you. We'll get to that. So, still a peeping to him, he was a lawyer and politician. He climbed Rome's political ladder and became consul, which is the highest elected public office in the republic. In 43 BC, he was declared an enemy of the state. As we go further, you're going to see that this one you want to become Cicero, as you desire the good part. I also know that there are the other parts that come with it. And it speaks to the complexity of success. And that is why at the end, you need to ask yourself, what will success be for me? No one is a universal success. Take that from me. not the leaders of the religions we have, universally. If you pick Muhammad, there are people who don't agree he's a success because they don't believe. You pick Jesus, there are people. So there is no one, there is no unanimity of the definition of success. You must determine where your success stands. What will be your success? You must start very early. Moshood Abiola fought for democracy, won an election that was declared incoherent. Did he live to benefit from the democracy? No. I don't know if you understand. I need you to get to some point where you feel good in your skin and define what success will be for you, so that when you get to that point, you can tell yourself, I have succeeded. The Cicero you're studying today was beheaded. Head and hands displayed. Beheading is not the end of a successful person, true of us. But today, because he defined what success will be for him, that is why you're studying him. You don't remember the people who beheaded him. Are we together? Jesus was hung on the cross, killed, the most shameful death at his time. But we don't remember the people who killed him, but many years after, people are still following the person who was killed because he determined what success will be for him. So I need you not to get under pressure. We are not getting to the same destination. Success, there's a concept called equifinality. There are many routes to success. Are we together? Many routes to it, but you must define, because the concept of success is amorphous. There's what a society defines as success. But you must ask yourself, because at that point, that is why we find the people society defines as success, most of them end up committing suicide. Despite the fact that society thinks they've succeeded, there is something, a part of them that tells them you have failed. And they cannot face that part of them that says you have failed. And therefore they take their life because they can no longer face it. True or false? So you must early on define what success will be for you. At what point will I say that I have succeeded? So know that even this success you're looking for, it has a correlative, which will be pain, the pains of success. You want to, like many in our climb, career women, you end up finding out that they're having challenges at home. Isn't it so? But you also find others who have a very solid home and they're having challenges in the workplace. So the ability to circumnavigate these spaces and still become successful, that the world sees you successful and you agree with yourself that that becomes the greatest challenge. I think that comes in a biography. It doesn't come while you're alive. Because even if you agree you're successful today, the world agrees you're successful today, one activity happening in the world beyond your control can make you unsuccessful the next day. Isn't it so? Are we together? So for example, a gentleman won an election in Venezuela and he was fine. He was the president of his country. He was enjoying his life. He had all the protection he needed. But just one night, the next morning, he from presidency to prison, from success to failure. Are we together? So you must understand that while there are aspects that are within your control, there are aspects that are not within your control. But let's run. I think my time is running. So let's run. I hope the followers online are also able to hear. So his death was brutal and symbolic. His heads and hands were displayed publicly, a warning against resistance. Yet his ideas and writings have survived, and which is why we are studying him today. So, impossible to ignore the Cicero way. So let's delve into this. Let's just take a small dive into this. So my thinking is that first, you need knowledge-based delivery. You're not a comedian. And in fact, people also think that being a comedian is easy. It's not. Making people laugh, especially in a country like Nigeria, is very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult. So I appreciate and commend those comedians, because people pay money. I think immediately you pay money for a comedy show, you pack all the problems you have in your head and you go there determined not to laugh. But you paid money to be made to laugh. So why are you going there and not wanting to laugh? So making people laugh so even comedy needs a lot of preparation. So knowledge-based delivery. Remember, we are going to be examining how Cicero did it. And so we see how we can tap from those principles to do it ourselves. I hope we are all together. Yes. So knowledge-based delivery. If you must do persuasive communication, if you must do it the Cicero way, you must have knowledge-based delivery. Your delivery must be knowledge-based. It must be grounded in facts. You see, And there's something about persuasion and manipulation. You don't want to be a manipulative communicator. That is why YALI did not say manipulative communication, right? Both persuasion and manipulation will get people to do what they ordinarily did not want to do at the beginning. The result is the same. The start point of persuasive communication and manipulative communication is the same, because the people you're speaking to either are neutral or opposed to the eventual outcome. Are we together? I hope I had a board here. I would have needed to draw something. I need us to understand. So if there is point A, which is here, are we together? And there is point C, which is here. The space between here and here will be the space where manipulative communication and persuasive communication would operate. Are we together? So the essence of communication is to get someone from point A to point C. But whether you're going to use the vehicle of manipulative communication to get this person here, or you're going to use the vehicle of persuasive communication, is why we are here today. Now, within the political realm, a lot of times manipulative communication has been employed to trick people to move from this point to voting. Are we together? So you vote because the data has been manipulated. You vote because emotions have been manipulated. And you now believe enough to move from point A to point C. But what we are talking about is the use of information in a persuasive manner that moves people from point A to C. Now, people will tell, but the end determines the means. So if they are here, that's fine. We wanted the goat in the house. We've brought the goat. Whether we brought it by head, we brought it by neck, you understand? Whether it's Mbadiwe or Azikiwe or Laiwe. You understand? But the difference is, the person who gets to point C via manipulation will soon return to point A. Manipulation does not stay long because it's not based on conviction. And you cannot manipulate for so long because the person here would soon realize that he was manipulated. And the truth is, no one loves to be manipulated. So immediately they realize they were manipulated, they revolt. And so they get back where? They get back here. And when they get back here, it becomes a lot more difficult to move them again. But the person who got here by persuasion, because he got there by conviction, will stay there. And not only stay there, after a while, he becomes a proponent of coming back here to bring more people to that point. So when you manipulate people, you win them. But when you persuade people into action, you gain them. And when you gain them, they begin to reproduce because it's now a function of conviction. So they go back to where they were and begin to bring other people. And they become like Paul the Apostle. They say, look, I was here before. So I'm telling you from my experience. Which is better, manipulation or persuasion? Persuasion. To have persuasion, knowledge must precede it. Because in this age when, now that I'm talking, people are on their phones. You know why? They're trying to fact check the things I'm saying. You understand? Yes. So that period that people come and say, you can fact check, and people are not, is a lie, that period has gone. Every single thing is that people are fact checking. Is it true? So you must have knowledge. And you must try to be more knowledgeable than your audience. Else you would have wasted their time. If you're saying nothing new to what they knew, then it doesn't make sense. They didn't need to come. So, knowledge-based delivery is critical. You must choose your registers carefully. So, if you're speaking to a group of Gen Zs, and you're speaking highfalutin grammar with those people who do not have patience, you know, the virtue that generation lacks is what? Patience. They are in a hurry. Because that generation are digital natives. That generation is the richest generation of their time. No other generation has become millionaires at the age they became. Because they were born with technology. The only thing they know is technology. And with technology comes speed. So you can't be blaming them for their impatience because what drives their season is speed. Are we together? everything must come with a click because that's what they are used to. So if you're talking with them and you're not able to connect your registers to what they understand, you're just going to be wasting time. And when you're done, they'll be saying, what did that OG say? And it's over. So you must choose your registers carefully. Same thing if you're talking with old people, with people maybe 40 and above, you must choose your register. They are not easily excitable because they've seen 99, now only 100 remain. You understand? So whenever you're making a presentation, please choose your registers carefully because that is what will determine whether people are listening to you or not. You have to have an emotional connection with the audience. So when you read the room, one of the first things you need to do is read the room. Cicero at every time knew who he was going to speak to. When you look at how he presented the cases he handled in court, he knew what the judges, when he was talking about corruption, he played to the judges' emotions as to what corruption could do in Rome. And therefore, the judges were not just judging distant facts, they were judging their own reality. So when you say, for example, that my Lord, this person stole, so it's nice, that person stole. But when you say, this person stole things, that is why we cannot build houses for you. What have you done? You've brought my Lord into the matter. After a while, I asked myself, why are we not connecting with the people? And I discovered that the challenge government communicators have, we are using a different lens, a different spectacle than what the people are using. So in government, we are looking at how much we have spent, while the people are looking at the impact of the project. Are we together? So we now say that we've done 300 kilometers of road. That is huge in government. 300, we're doing the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. How does that affect the market woman in Ogbomosho? I don't know if you understand. How does it? In fact, the people whose land will be taken along the coastal corridor are angry you're taking their land. We must shift from communicating government efforts to communicating the impact of this project. So what will this do? Road safety statistics show that 1,203 people have died along that corridor by accidents. And they have died because the road was narrow. And if we make a dual carriageway, so it means that accidents will be reduced drastically. People will know, that makes sense. Number two, there are farmlands along that road, and the highest maize, cassava, palm oil production belt is within this area. And if we make this road, it would make it easier for farmers to access their farms and for farmers to bring their products easily to the market. So the old prices that they used to pay, which did not work well for them, because the people will be coming through the bad road to buy, would now be removed. In fact, as part of this, as we open the road, we are going to do an intermediary oil market here, or a cassava collection center here, which means that more money will be getting to farmers. Which one makes more sense to them? That's the challenge we have as speakers. We don't connect with the audience. So why do you need to be persuasive speakers? I need to ask myself, when I was asked to prepare for this, I said to myself, why do these people want to be persuasive speakers? And I said that this guy man wants to be persuasive speaker because there's a girl he has trying to toast. He needs to persuade the girl. You understand? So he needs to learn persuasive speaking to persuade her to agree. So why does she want persuasive speaking? Because in her workplace, her boss is becoming very difficult. She has bright ideas that can move her company, but her boss is not listening. So she needs persuasive speaking to be able to persuade her boss to pass her knowledge in a persuasive manner that the company can grow and she can be recognized. Isn't it so? That's why you want to be here. Some of you want to be politicians, and I guess I have a colleague in the gentleman sitting there. You want to be politicians, and you're having an issue understanding why these populates, these electorates are electing the wrong people. I mean, I have the brightest of ideas, but they don't seem to understand me. I don't seem to be cutting through them. And they are still voting these guys who are now led by the worst of us. So I want to throw myself in the ring. But how do I convince them? True or false? Sure. Excellent. Until you connect at that emotional level, no one listens to you. We don't have time This Saturday morning, even if you have nothing to do, you should be resting in your houses. Because to make any move now in Nigeria with the current fuel price, you need to think twice. True or false? When people invite you for events now and you need to travel more than 30 kilometers to go there, you begin to ask yourself, why not just send this guy 50k or 20k, then I know good in place. Do you understand? Fuel is 1,003 something. Now, and so people are beginning to reprioritize. Do I really need to be there? What thing I want to go do for the place? If I go call the guy and say, bro, see if I come and 2 bottles of beer I go drink. So if I no come, that 2 bottles now don't short. So how much will that calculate? I might send you like 20k, You understand? So if plenty of us no come, the venue you go take smaller venue. I mean, you understand? We go block, bros. Just send me your answer. I go, you understand? Is that not what we are doing now? Until you connect at the emotional level. And sincerely, the people inviting people for events now don't really want you to come. There are people they really want to come. The rest, that's why they set up planning committee and they say for your support. Now the support. Look, I mean, when you go, you increase the number of people eating food, drinking, and all of that. So connect at the emotional level with the audience so that the audience can flow with you. There's no need just talking to people and getting out. I mean, it doesn't make sense. They are not in the university. Even the university now, intellectual academic discourse is now more relatable. Because when you keep using abstract terms, the research would gather dust on the shelf. So connect. Use oratory. We are using his pattern. Use oratory to build society, not destroy it. He used his oratorial powers to build the society along the lines of virtue, along the lines of development. That is what happened there. So you must, this your persuasive speaking. It's not to use and collect people's money. It's not to use and create the next Ponzi scheme. It's not to use and market the ills, the vices in society. Is to use to market virtues so that we can have an egalitarian society. A society that works for everyone irrespective of the social stratification that is there. Act the speech. One of the things that you take from Cicero's disposition that he acted the speech. The speech was not different from the speaker. You see, there are some times when the speech and the speaker, people give excellent speeches, but you seem to find that this is drama. It's not. The speech and the speaker are different. They are just finding a convenient point to relate, an agreeable limit, which is why if you interrogate them further, you begin to find that they depart from the thesis that they just propounded. You understand? You must speak from the point of conviction, not from the point of convenience. Look, and I don't know why we do it, my politician friend. I don't know why we do it. Everyone is not meant to serve. When you draw the triangle of society and you see the 1%, you see the echelon, you see the working class, you see the poor people. Not every politician should concentrate on the poor people. Not every. Because the whole of society needs this entire, you need to service the 1%. The Dangotes must be serviced. You know why? Because that their 1% may be sufficient. That is why just Dangote, if he shuts down his refinery now, we're in trouble. So if you say that a government must come that takes care of only the poor, then you're wrong. Government is for everyone. But the issue is that a government should not deal inequitably. Are we together now? So but you find that every political party comes to tell you, no. This is where we are working for the poor. We are working. So who is working for the working class? Who is working for the ultra rich? We must define our niche. So that begins to create problems. So when it's election, everyone says, no, we are pro-poor. We are pro-poor. After the elections, they now get into government and discover that their business partners are saying, you're not doing anything. So they now change. And you now go to them. So you find a dissonance between their campaign speeches and their government speeches. And when you now answer, they say, no, I didn't say it. You understand? Define where you stand. If you are pro-rich, please be pro-rich. There is no harm. You belong to that 1%. That is where you want to be. Please be there. Look, there are people who will never, even if they had the opportunity, become a Dangote. Because by their mentality, they are Marxists. They are just sufficient. They don't like luxury. Those people can stay where they want. But if you know that you have been viewing a Lamborghini on Facebook. You understand? You look those things. You imagine say you live for mansion. Then when you want to go election, now you say you be proper, oh boy, you be thief. Be yourself so that you can communicate persuasively. Because the truth does not need rehearsal. Immediately you begin to think too much about an idea, it means that it's not original to you. You're trying to rationalize it. They ask you questions and say, you know, the context of that situation, immediately. See, be yourself. I mean, which is why you need to determine what success is for you. If success for you is material wealth in all forms, please legally go for it. It is not an offense to be rich. It's not an offense to be super rich. It's not an offense. It is part of the capitalist disposition that can promote people. We're not a capitalist system here. So, but don't have a capitalist mindset and now wear a welfarist gown so that we the poor people vote for you and you now go back to where you belong. That is where the challenge is. So act what? Act the speech. Let the speech become you. Let it flow from you so that you and your speech will be one and the same. I guess my time is...
So we still have about 20 minutes. We've added 10 minutes here.
Okay. Because one of the greatest indiscipline is not to keep to time. And in persuasive speaking, you speak for too long, you lose the people. So, knowledge-based delivery. Prepare well for every speech. Please don't make the mistake of thinking you've known everything and you go to a speech unprepared. Because if you don't read that room well, and there's always a place for surprises. You thought that even if they sent you the total number and names of people who are in the room, you don't know that the topic you're about to teach, one of the people just came back from a course at Harvard on that topic. I don't know if you understand. They just asked you to speak to a set of 20 young people in Akwa Ibom, on AI. And you think they have been running AI for a while. So, but known to you, one of the guys just came back from a short course on contemporary generative AI from Oxford or MIT. And you are there just feeling you come. You look as fine as that my gentleman in purple. You understand? Bros, now you are the hype now. Why do I say me and you the vex? And the day say fine. You look that handsome and you come in. He just do because you're using residual knowledge. Now this guy fire you one question. And you're like, no, is that part of generative AI? He said, yes. He now introduces it. I just finished the course. I don't know. Say, kai. Don't underrate any performance. Because you're going to be meeting some people for the first time. And the rule is that there is no second chance to create a first. True or false? So prepare well for every speech. Research deeply about every topic. And that is why we all have phones. What is the latest on this topic? Don't talk to people don't behave like the lecturers who taught us in university, who used the lecture notes that they taught them. I found that very annoying. How can you use, and they wrote it, in fact, some of them will put sellotape because they know don't tear go far. I mean, so there's no additional knowledge. You use your own lecture notes to teach me, maybe 15 years after you graduate. What is the latest on that issue? Because to be persuasive, you must be current. Are we together? This is the most difficult part. Have a 360-degree view of the topic. Some of us are very narrow-minded that we just take a 90-degree or 180. And that is normal because you're facing front. Now that I'm facing front, except I have a mirror, I can't see what is behind me. So my reality will be what I see facing the front. But you are facing me, is it not so? And you are seeing what is behind me. While my reality is what I'm telling you, your reality is what you're seeing. So if I keep telling you what I'm seeing, without understanding what you are seeing, we would not have a consonance. We'll have dissonance, complete dissonance. Because I'm telling you what I'm seeing, and you're not agreeing with me because you're seeing something else. Are we together? Yes. So the only way I can communicate for you to understand is for me to take a 360-degree view. So that while I'm telling you what you're seeing, I'm now confronting you with what I am seeing that you are not seeing. So if you don't do a 360 view, you remember that thing you used to do in school? Debates, for and against. And these people come completely for. So that even when they are not debating, they are still holding. No, that's the position. Boys are better than girls in mathematics. But the evidence may be different. The fact that you're doing a debate, in fact, you should also look at the statistics of girls that have done better than boys, so that you can find weakness in the counter argument to use to consolidate your argument. So until you take a 360 view of an issue, you cannot persuade someone because you don't know what the person is saying. Are we together? So you need to look at both sides. Finally, prepare your talking guide, whether notes, whether slides, whether prompts. And I'll ask, please do both manual and digital, because your village people may be waiting for you somewhere. That the thing you saved on your phone is not coming up. Your phone hang. You go touch, I'm tired. Boss, I beg, help me touch. I mean, are we together? Prepare on the phone. If you have small sticky note, write small, put for pocket. Memorize it. Because even that one, if you be on the way to the place, you enter one chance. As they come out your money, they come out the sticky notes, join. Collect your phone. And you now arrive at the event. And this is something you know they will pay you for. So you need to present. You could also see your village people don't come. So you must put it in your head. Memorize it as if your phone will be bad. Write it on a sticky note. But if all of those external fail, your mind should come up. Make no mistakes. Nothing is impossible. I mean, imagine that I arrived and I say, oh, sorry. Utube, sorry. No matter what I said after, I've lost you. Confidence is one of the key elements of persuasive speaking. Because when you have knowledge, you have researched, you have a 360-degree view of it, it confers on you confidence enough for you to share and connect with the people. So prepare your talking notes. It may look simple, but this thing has messed a lot of people up. This thing? Yeah. Mess you up big time. When I was in government, we prepare speeches sent to my boss. I'd always print one copy, backup copy. And people say, I know in a while. I say, no, don't worry, backup copy. And I'll make sure that I print it in sizes that are big, so that he doesn't need to strain his eyes. The teleprompter may fail. Don't wait for it to fail to learn that you should. I mean, if you have a 360-degree view of everything in life, you would know. That is why in every building where there is an elevator, there is a staircase. Manual staircase. Even in White House. Even at Google headquarters. Are they anticipating failure? No. Are they servicing the elevators well? Yes. But is there a manual staircase? Yes. So why wouldn't you use manual? Have a manual backup. If I send virus to your system, have a manual backup. Emotional connection, pre-analyze your intended audience. So ask yourself, like I asked you today, who and who? Give me a fair idea. Who and who will be in the hall? Are there older people? They say, no, young people. And he gave me an explanation. I said, okay. So, I mean, you mentally prepare. Because, look, if you were preparing to see young people and you come in and see 3-4 professors, immediately you enter, you lose your confidence. You didn't prepare for professors. Because, in fact, your mind is beginning to ask you questions they are not ready to ask you. And you begin to feel inadequate. So you must pre-analyze your intended audience. The question is, who will be in the audience? When you finish that, what do I think they want to hear from me? Meaning, so why are they here? So that you don't waste people's time. What is the best way to pass their information? This information they want to hear. What's the best way to pass it to them? Should it be formal? Should it be informal? Should it be formal? Should it be informal? Should it be semi-formal? So, for example, if I was speaking to a set of politicians, maybe House of Reps members and senators, on this same topic, it will be this same information, but I'll share it differently. I'll be very serious. I'll be using examples that they can relate with. Because until you get to the lived experience and realities of people, they don't connect with you. That's the emotional connection. But if I come here and begin to use political examples now, I've lost half of the people in this room. Because as I see your faces, Politics doesn't really matter to you apart from the fact that it affects the money in your account. That's the only reason. But I'll be asking you to be very involved in it, because if we continue to stay aloof, then we'll continue to get led by the worst of us. And we have 4 years to complain, and we refuse to vote again. We have another 4 years to complain. After a while, there's what is called normalcy bias. It just sets in. Well, it's like that. My votes won't count, so there is no need. Who told you it won't count? The millions of votes counted was because people went to vote. So votes are counting. And so how do you make your votes count? You go there and vote and wait and tell them, you announce this result here. You transmit it here. That is how to make it count. So, what is the best way to pass it? You must be careful. Remember when I said registers? What do registers mean? They are the terminology. So if you're talking to pilots, they'll be understanding takeoff, landing, altitude, mid-sea level. You must come to them, because you must drag them to where you want to. So you can't be talking to pilots and you're using medical terminology. You lose them. You understand? So, how to best pass this message is part of it. Formal, informal, semi-formal. What is the central thing I want the audience to take home? That is where you start your preparation from. There must be a central message. The rest may be the flesh, but there must be a skeleton. That when all of this flesh is gone, there must be what? A skeleton. And for me, the central message is, number one, that it is possible to develop public speaking as a skill. Number two, that when you have attained the height of public speaking, you should know that it has positives and negatives. Then my last slide will tell you what I really want you to take home today. And finally, how do I dress there? For younger people, if people discount this a lot, you think you can wear jeans and t-shirt to anywhere. Since the workplace is beginning to accommodate people like that, they are tempted to transport that into social spaces. They attempt to also transport that into religious spaces. Come as you are. But the difference is that immediately you come to social spaces, political spaces, your dressing will have an impact on how people rate you. I am not judgmental, but that is what statistics say. That is why when you check the number of presidents with tattoo and dreadlock, if they exist, you find them in the minority. Are we together? So you dress for the event. You dress for the occasion, especially if you want to persuade people. You don't want your look to be antagonistic to the people you want to persuade. Growing up, a lot of my colleagues wore neck chains, and I felt it was cool to do so. But so someday I asked myself, if I go for an interview, and because I don't know the mindset of the interviewer, and I'm wearing a shirt that shows I'm wearing a neck chain, and the person interviewing me, who has a total discretion to take me or not, does not like neck chain, will I pass the interview? It's discretion. If I'm not wearing, and the person interviewing likes people to wear, and I'm not wearing, will I pass the interview?
Yes.
That is it. Because the people who wear do not expect everyone to. So they don't have issues. If you wear, it excites them. If you don't, in fact, they may not notice. True or false? But if they don't like people wearing, and you're wearing, it becomes an antagonism. So I said to myself, bros, if the way up is your direction, just behave small. You understand? When you have arrived, you can detect the mood of how you want, and people would accept you for what you offer. But you need an opportunity to offer, to be known, to be accepted. Isn't it so? So I behave myself. And now I'm happy because change the cost too. You understand? Change the cost. Well, like that, on the way the next gen now for go wear earrings. So all those things will come the cost. My life where they simple now, no for this simple. You understand? And I've now found out that the people who should wear neck chain and earrings are not even wearing. Now we now can't wear. But I mean, I'm not judgmental. I'm just telling you how I got to my own conclusion. You understand? So how you dress when you want to persuade is important. Finally, this is the slide you must take home. So when I saw the topic and they said the Cicero way, I said, Cicero way, why? Number one, you will never be another Cicero. You will not. You don't exist in his context. You don't exist in his time. You don't have his underpinnings. You don't have the pressures and the pleasures of his time. So you cannot be. Tell yourself, I will not be Cicero. Tell yourself. I will not be Cicero. So at best, you would only be a second best, next best Cicero. Oh, he speaks like Cicero. Immediately someone says that, what that means is, can be better? No. It cannot. Always carries, there's a small minus. Because that is the apex. That's the comparative point. This is subject to speaking like. If it was better, they will say speaking better. Isn't it also? Immediately you are compared to. It means that is the hallmark. You are now a little minus under. So you can only be the next best Cicero. The Cicero of our time. Not the Cicero of that time. So if you are the Cicero of our time, it means that Ciceroism is the ultimate. You're only aspiring to that. So now the question is, why be second best when you can be the best? Why? So that's where Utebe and Co. have a problem with me. Why be Cicero if you can be better than Cicero? You can hold your generation to account on persuasive communication. You can use the Cicero way but become you. So that many years after, people will be gathering like this. I'll be saying, they want to study your own way. Are we together? So use his principles, but create your style. Create your style. Be you, so that many years after you are gone, like Cicero is gone. Even if your generation kills you, even if they murder you, even if they cut your hands, they cut your legs, you understand? Many years after you're gone, many people the world over will sit to study on the topic, the art of persuasive speaking. Put your name. So we'll take this together. The art of persuasive speaking. The Ini Ememobong way. The art of persuasive speaking. Thank you.